Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Marvel Select Beta Ray Bill. And I am so excited about this figure. As soon as they revealed this guy, he jumped very high on my list of my most anticipated figures. I'm a big fan of Beta Ray Bill, and I like Marvel Select quite a bit. I know that they're not perfect, but I've always felt that when they put their all into a figure, and they really strive to deliver something great, they usually do. Like sometimes they get lazy and give us weak ass figures, but every now and then they come out with something like the Immortal Hulk or Titanium Man, or one of those types of figures. I think that Beta Ray Bill is going to be in the same class as those, so I'm very excited about this. But let's go ahead and get right into it. I do apologize. The Marvel Select figures come in these big ass boxes. It's hard to get the entire thing into the frame, but through the plastic here you can see Beta Ray Bill. On the side of the box it says Beta Ray Bill. Down here there's a Disney logo. Up here it says Marvel Select. On the side of the box we get some awesome artwork of Beta Ray Bill. On the back we get a look at that same artwork, but a little bit more of it. That looks really good. And yeah, this packaging is the classic Marvel Select style packaging. They've been using it for, I would say, about 46 years at this point. I don't think they're going to change it. Sometimes it sucks because they put little figures in there and it's just a bunch of empty space. But in this case, we've got this big ass Beta Ray Bill figure, some cool accessories, and it fills out the packaging nicely. So yeah, I'm happy with it. But let's go ahead and get this badass figure out of the box and take a look. Here we have Beta Ray Bill right out of the box. And man, this figure does not disappoint. I absolutely love what we have going on here. I think this is a beautiful looking figure with a whole bunch of really great sculpting work. I really like this design for the character too. There are some classic elements, like some things in there that do feel like classic Beta Ray Bill, but for the most part, it's a completely new look for the character, and I think it's awesome. One big thing I like about it is that it looks very different from Thor. Originally, Beta Ray Bill just looked like Thor with the horse head, but this version looks different, and I think it's awesome. The articulation on this figure is pretty good too, especially considering that he's so big. Obviously, you're not going to get a whole lot out of him, but considering that he's big with a bunch of armor and a cape, his posability is pretty respectable, so I'm happy with that. And yeah, this is a great looking figure, man. Very excited about this guy. And one thing I thought that was super cool about this figure is the cape is it's removable. So he has these things on the front and you could just unplug them. Give me just a second here. Boom, you can unplug that. Boom, there we go. So you could remove the cape and then put these back in, and then you kind of have a whole different look for the character, which is nice. And if you want to put a soft goods cape on him, it'll be a lot easier to deal with. You won't have to glue anything to the figure, or you don't have to destroy the figure getting the cape off or any of that. So it's nice to have these type of options. But man, dude, I love this thing, man. This is such a great figure. But I got to give you a word of warning, I'm a big fan of Beta Ray Bill. There's not a whole lot of figures of him out there, so I'm just very excited to have a new figure of this character, and I think that Marvel Select did a great job. But, a lot of my enthusiasm might come from my love for the character, so keep that in mind. But yeah, I think this is great. This came out amazing. But let's go ahead and get in close and take a look at the details on him. And then taking a close look at the details on Bill, starting off at the head. Well, actually, starting off at the mohawk. I do think the mohawk looks very good. It's well sculpted, and I like the different colors that we have in there. We have different shades of red, and then it comes down to a black color close to the actual helmet. So that is cool. And I like the way they sculpted it, It kind of has a dynamic type of feel to it. It looks like it's moving or something, as if Bill was in motion, and the mohawk is just kind of swaying around. So I think that's cool. And then as for the actual face and head sculpt, I think they did a great job with it. The one thing I dislike is you could see a seam right there from the lower jaw to the rest of the face. That's unfortunate, but aside from that, this is a great looking head sculpt. The mouth looks good, the eyes, everything about the head sculpt looks great except for that little seam. But yeah, this looks awesome. And then the helmet does have the wings on the side of the head, which look good. Yeah, from the side, this is a great looking head sculpt, man. I love it. Then moving down into the body, we do have a lot of sculpting work on the torso. You can see this gold V thing is sculpted on there. These straps are a part of the belt, so they are not sculpted to the figure. they're attached to these things, and then they attach to the belt. The belt looks really good too. We have some nice sculpting work on there and different colors and stuff, so that's nice. Oh, taking a very quick look at the cape. The cape looks really good. It does have like different shades of red in there, just like the mohawk. But the cape is kind of big and definitely gets in the way when you're playing around with the figure, but it does look good. And then taking a look at the arms, we do have some good stuff going on with the gold glove area. That looks nice. We've got his crazy looking hands. One thing I dislike about the arms is the fact they left that joint like that. I really wish they would have painted blue right there or something. I guess they would have had to worry about paint chipping though. So I guess I kind of understand, but that does look a little funny there. And then we do have Stormbreaker. Bam. Nice, nice. The shoulder pads look good. Whatever these things are look good. Yeah, look at that. Very nice. And moving down into the legs. The legs look really good too. I like the design of these. Up here we have like some lines. Kind of has like a metallic kind of look to it. And the boots look good. The boots feel very classic Beta Ray build to me, so I like that a lot. But yeah, man, this is a great looking figure with a whole bunch of really good sculpting. Some paint work that should have been done a little bit better. And you know, for the most part, I think the paint is okay. There's just a few things here and there that they could have cleaned up a little bit. Like I do have a small paint imperfection on the chest here, and then the thing with the arms, which is kind of weird. But aside from that, I think it's a great looking figure, and it's very well sculpted. I think that's one of the strongest aspects of this figure. And when it comes to accessories, Bill doesn't come with a whole lot, but thankfully he does come with his trusty Stormbreaker, and this does look good. It is kind of simple, but it does the job. It's gold and it looks comic book accurate. So yeah, this is nice. And then he comes with this awesome Stormbreaker swinging effect. And this is really dope. And I've got to say, shout out to Marvel Select, because they were the first ones I've ever seen do a hammer effect like this. Since the one they did with Thor back in the day, we've seen it a bunch of times, and it's cool to see them bring it back with Beta Ray Bill. And I just love the way it looks. And you know what's really cool about it? So check this out. I like how we could see Stormbreaker right here, and each of the hammers is like, it becomes more and more clear as it goes, right? So it's gold right here. This is where the actual hammer's at. But then right here, it's kind of gold, and then over here, it's kind of gold, and it just gets less and less gold. You know, I think that is super cool. It's not just like a bunch of hammers swinging. So that is very interesting. And yeah, this thing is beautiful. It's very well sculpted. And it does the job, and it's an awesome accessory. I like it a lot, and he has no problem holding it, and it's not too heavy. So when you put it in his hand, it's not going to be swinging around or anything, or it's, you know, and it's also not going to make him fall over. So that is really dope. It would have been cool if he came with some extra heads and some extra hands. Most importantly, alternate heads, because you know, it'd be nice to have a head sculpt where his mouth was closed, and it would also be cool to have a head sculpt that did not have the big mohawk. Even though I love the mohawk, it would be cool to have the option to have like a different style head sculpt, you know. But I do appreciate that he came with this effect because it is very cool. I just wish that he came with a little bit more. And then now for some size comparisons. Here we have Bill alongside a couple of Marvel Select Thors. And I've got to be honest, I don't really think that Bill scales very well with Marvel Select or Marvel Legends or with anything. He's humongous. And I think it's cool for the figure itself, but I don't think it's very accurate to the comics. In my mind, I think Bill and Thor are pretty close to the same size in the books. Like, Bill is a little bit bigger, but he's not this much bigger. Like, he's massive next to Thor. I still think it looks really cool, but I don't think it's very accurate. And if he doesn't scale with Marvel Select, obviously he's not going to scale very well with Marvel Legends. Here we have Bill alongside the Marvel Legends Thor from the Controller Build-A-Figure wave and the 80th Anniversary Thor with an awesome custom cape from Harker Customs. And yeah, look at Bill. He's humongous. He looks like a like a giant next to these guys. And then next up, we have the Marvel Select Beta Ray Bill alongside the Marvel Legends Beta Ray Bill from Hasbro. I can't remember what wave that's from, but it's based on a more modern look. Not as modern as the Marvel Select, but more recent than the classic. On this side, we have the Marvel Legends Better Ray Bill from Toy Biz. And I would love to see somebody give us a classic Better Ray Bill, whether it's Marvel Select, Marvel Legends, or Mafex. Ooh, that would be bars if Mafex did it. That would be freaking amazing. But yeah, I love all three of these figures. It's cool to have all these different looks of the character, especially because he's a character that's not really well known, you know? It's cool that between the three different companies, we got three different looks. I think that's awesome. And then here we have Better Ray Bill alongside the Marvel Select Destroyer and the Marvel Select Immortal Hulk. And yeah, Marvel Select always excels when it comes to their bigger characters. Maybe that's why they took like this approach with Better Ray Bill. You know, they just kind of made him massive because maybe that's where they feel their strengths are. And, you know, if that's the case, I would agree. But yeah, he's huge, man. And then next up, we have Better Ray Bill alongside the Marvel Legends Ulick and the Marvel Legends Boar. And then here we have Bill alongside another massive Marvel Select figure, and that's the Titanium Man. And then on the opposite side, we have the Marvel Legends Thor. And this Thor is typically considered to be oversized, but as you can see, it's still nowhere close to working with Bill. And then, of course, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man and Marvel Legends Bucky Cap. And the articulation on Bill is pretty good, especially considering that he has so much going on. He's got like shoulder pads and armor and then the big old mohawk. And all those things do kind of get in the way of the articulation. But considering the size of this figure and the complicated design, I do think that Diamond Select did a pretty good job at giving him a respectable amount of articulation for a character like this. So I'm pretty happy with what we have going on. But let's go ahead and take a look starting off at the head. He can move his head side to side. Gets a little bit of tilt out of it, but not a whole lot. And then he could look up only to about right there. And then he could look down only to about right there. So not a whole lot of movement at the head. I do feel like they could have gotten a little bit more out of the neck joint. And then he does have a diaphragm cut. So on the diaphragm cut, it does move side to side. And it could swivel. Goes back only to about right there. So not a whole lot. And then it goes forward only to right there. So I do kind of want to modify the torso and the neck. I've had some success modifying Marvel Select figures in the past in those two areas. So I think I might have to pop Bill apart and see if I can increase the articulation in the torso and in the neck, because I feel like there's room in there. And then he does have a waist swivel, but it's really tight and kind of, you know, it's kind of hard to use because of the belt. And then the arms are actually pretty good. So his arms are able to come up to right there. He does have ball joints at the shoulders. So you could bring his arms up a pretty good amount. So that's nice. And, you know, they would be able to go all the way around, but he does have these shoulder pads. So, you know, obviously it's not going to be able to go all the way around because of how much the shoulder pad comes out. But he does have upper bicep swivel. And then he has a single jointed elbow, which it's pretty tight, but it gets pretty good range. Look at that. That is pretty good for a single jointed elbow on a big character like this. And then you could also swivel at the elbow. And then at the hands, we have a swivel and then a hinge. So pretty good stuff at the arms, to be honest with you. It's pretty tight, but yeah, I like that. I like that his arm could bend that much. That's a pretty good amount. And then for the legs, he does have his hips are on ball joints. So as you could see, the hip is kind of rotating on the ball joint, but then he also has an upper thigh swivel, which is nice. He could kick forward to about right there, which, damn, that's pretty good. Then he could bring it back only to right there. Damn, he could kick to the side a really nice amount. Nice. And then he has a single joint at the knee. And it's kind of weird how they did it. It reminds me of Black Series. And sometimes that could suck, but for Bill, it really doesn't matter because, you know, it doesn't look too bad because of the boot and just the design kind of covers it. Sometimes the knee joint like that could look weird, but on Bill, I think it's all right. And it gets decent range, only about 90. And there's also a swivel at the knee. And then he also has a swivel at the shin area. The foot can go forward to right there, come up to right there. Then he does have rocking ankles. So yeah, like I said, this is a big ass figure with a bunch of stuff going on, but you could still get him into decent poses and have some fun messing around with it. Man, this whole review I've had a bunch of trouble trying to keep this guy in frame because he's so humongous. But yeah, you could have some fun with this guy, man, which was surprising because he's huge. So I appreciate the amount of articulation they were able to get in there, but I do think that I'm gonna pop them apart and see if I can modify the torso and the neck. I think there's some potential there. But yeah, look at that, awesome stuff. Alrighty, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I think this figure is freaking awesome. And as a big fan of Beta Ray Bill, I'm super excited with the way this guy turned out. I think that Marvel Select did a really great job with it. I love the way that he looks. He's very well sculpted. Paintwork is pretty good for the most part. There are some areas that they could have done things a little bit differently, but for the most part, the paint is extremely well done, and the figure just looks amazing. He's gonna stand out on the shelf because he's just so big, and he has this crazy ass design that is different from the classic Beta Ray Bill, but it works very well for the character, and I just love it. The accessories are pretty good too. I do wish that he came with some extra hands and some alternate heads, but I do appreciate that we got the Stormbreaker hammer swinging effect and of course the standard Stormbreaker. But extra heads and extra hands would have gone a long way with this guy, but I do appreciate what we did get. Articulation is okay, but obviously he's a big figure. He's got a lot going on. I do think that Marvel Select did a pretty good job of incorporating articulation where they could, and there's even some joints that got more range than I was expecting, so that is nice. And yeah, man, this is beautiful. I really, really love this guy. And if you're a big fan of Beta Ray Bill, I strongly suggest picking up this figure because, man, they absolutely killed it. And, you know, figures like this is the reason why I still kind of, I'm down with Diamond Select because every now and then they just come through with something that's absolutely amazing. And they've done it quite a few times. Yeah, they've released a lot of garbage too. Straight up, they put out some figures that I hate. Some of the worst figures I've ever seen. But then on the opposite side of that, they come through with stuff like this, or Immortal Hulk, or Titanium Man, or Destroyer, or, you know, there's just all kinds of great figures that they've made throughout the years. And Beta Ray Bill is definitely up there with some of the best. And yeah, man, I'm absolutely in love with this figure right now. I really love the way they did the cape. I like that you could just remove it without any big issue. That way, if you want to put like a soft goods cape on there, it's very simple. You don't have to destroy the figure, and that's a cool option to have. And he also looks awesome without a cape. Like, I've been playing with this figure quite a bit with the cape completely removed, and I think he looks great. Man, it's a trip what Diamond Select gives you for the price that they charge. They still charge about like $30 to $35, and they've always been in that ballpark, you know. They have increased a little bit over the years, but they've always been in that ballpark. And it's crazy that they continue to give you so much for that price. You know, every now and then they charge that much and they give you a bunch of trash. Like that recently released Miles Morales Spider-Man figure. Like, I can't believe that figure and this guy are coming out in the same year because that other figure, it's pretty bad. But then on the opposite side of the spectrum, you get this for like the same price, and it's just so much, you know. I think when they're on point, I think that Diamond Select, Marvel Select, it definitely gives you the best bang for your buck, or one of the best bangs for your buck, you know. Like, this costs as much as some Marvel Legends. Like, I think this guy's around the same price as Iron Spider, and Iron Spider's a great figure, but you look at this and it's like, damn, the value, it's kind of lopsided a little bit in my opinion. This is like a Build-A-Figure size figure, you know? But anyways, yeah, man, I'm very happy with this figure. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. If you're not aware, I do go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m., every Friday at 7 p.m., and I'm trying to go live every Sunday at 10 a.m. to strictly talk about comics. So come through, let's talk about comics. And on Tuesdays and Fridays, let's talk about toys and get weird. Thank you very much. Peace.